Lukeshni, thanks for sitting down with me today. Great to see you.
Wonderful to have you, Shawn. Finally, I get to speak to you on my own shore.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're here in South Africa. We're at ISF. There's been a lot of work, a lot of effort put into this, Lukeshni. I know there has been, and to great success from all accounts. You've worked your tail off for this. Why is it so important for you to have ISF here in South Africa?
I don't think it's even possible for me to explain how important it was for us to have this. We've bent over backwards to make this possible. And the reason is it's been more than 2 decades that we've had a World Seed Congress on this continent, let alone on these shores. And to have all the companies come here, there's more than 300, 400 companies here. There's people from over 60 countries. It's an opportunity, it's dual-sided. It's an opportunity for them to showcase themselves to the South African and African seed industry, and it's an opportunity for our seed companies, South African seed companies, to do business. It is really impossible for so many of my members to get to an ISF Congress year after year. So that is why we needed it to come, but also more importantly, we needed to showcase the value of seed. That is the story here, the value of seed and its critical importance to the entire agricultural value chain. And this Congress tells that story in no other way you can tell that story.
Well said. Well said. I know one of the things that you've been passionate about over the years has been how do we integrate the global seed industry into Africa, and how do we integrate Africa into the global seed industry? What does this mean? And you can hear we're in the hub, the buzz. It's all going on right now. This is because of your hard work. Why is that so critical for SANSOR and for the African seed industry?
Look, I think, make no mistake, there's a great divide between this continent and the rest of the formalized world. We're fortunate enough in South Africa that our ag industry and our seed industry is very formalized. But in the rest of Africa, it isn't. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It does not mean that farmers do not get seed. They might not have the access to the best seed in the world, but it's a system that is functioning with small-scale farmers, women farmers, and it was important for the rest of the world to see this. Perhaps not full integration. I'd rather use the word exposure. Just an opening of the mind of how seed business is done on this continent and learning from each other. I think if we want other countries to come and be successful here, and we want seed companies on this continent to reach greater heights, we need to share in some of our knowledge base for that.
There's a lot that ISF is doing to engage the global industry into Africa, and as you said, the vice versa. There's Seed Resiliency Project, very important as a step forward. What else would you like to see the global seed industry engaging in to provide that?
Yes, I think you have to allow African stakeholders and leaders to be part of the narrative. I think it's really important that Africa charts its own course. I think there's a wealth of knowledge here. There's a lot of genetic resources, but it's about being more inclusive in this journey. I think the Seed Resilience Project is fantastic, and it's a great example of collaboration and development and support. But I think we can engage more other leaders within Africa. And I think no story would be, or no journey would be properly done if there was not a partnership of journey. And I think that's really important. And I think it really just speaks to who we are as Africans. Rather walk the road with us than in front of us.
The emphasis that has been put on the program here for women in agriculture has your fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
Why is this so important?
Shawn, I've been in this industry now 10 years, and I often find myself, especially in the early years, being the only woman in the room. Or at a congress, a SANSOR congress, 2-3 other women in the room. And yet in the background of agriculture, there are so many incredible women. And I also ride on the back of the women who have come before me in my own lineage. And I think we have come to a point in this journey where we can no longer ignore this. And it needs due credit and it needs its exposure. And there are women who have played such incredible roles in the seed value chain, in the ag value chain. For the first time, we will see a woman first vice president of ISF. I think actually, if we gave and allowed the voice of women to be heard, we could possibly make this path easier. And it's time. There's just no other way about it.
Really well said, Lukeshni. And I think that sentiment is being heard loud and clear here this week. And there's a luncheon today to really drive that effort forward.
If I may just say a little bit about the luncheon, I think often young women coming into the industry feel like they're entering in a man's world. And I think this luncheon is about sharing the message that you have your space and your space is valid. You have your voice. And there are women leaders there who are prepared to share their story and guide them through it. So for young women in the seed industry, young women in agriculture, come and have this conversation with us and let us share our experiences.
So Lukeshni, for those of us with a Y chromosome, we want to be allies to women. You got any advice? What can this entire complex of men do to help women in agriculture, and maybe even more specifically, women in seed?
Yeah, I think let's respect that we have our differences, the way we approach things. And because a woman's leadership style might be a little bit different, perhaps even softer, with a more maybe even nurturing approach, doesn't make her weak. So focus rather on the subtle strengths than what men generally identify as strengths. And let's celebrate those differences.
Well said. Well said. So finally, if there's one thing that you would hope for the attendees, and we've got well over 1,200 of them here in South Africa, which congratulations on that. That's a massive success. What's the one thing that you would hope they would take away from this event?
Africa has incredible opportunity, incredible business opportunity. We have great resources for your business. And I'd like them to come and leave here saying, wow, this is a chance for me to make a contribution in this continent and for us to share. I think if the world thinks they're going to go this without Africa, it's a massive, massive mistake. And I think there's a lot of knowledge here. And I think this is about partnerships, collaboration, sharing. So I'd like the companies to walk away saying, you know what? This was a great forum for me to meet new business partners I did not know. And I'm going to almost guarantee you, a lot of people did not know what's being offered here. And I'd like to see this Congress come back and not take 20 years. If not to my country, to another African country. Yeah.
Lukeshni, my engagement in Africa has often been hearing the ask of a handout, and I don't hear that in the narrative when I talk to you. And that's not what I'm hearing here. No one here is looking for a handout.
No.
Is that a shift, or is that just my naivete of
I think there's been a shift, and I think we've stereotyped Africa. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, and I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, but I think because it happened a couple of times, or it's happened by various other aid organizations, that the stereotype has developed, and I think that's made people nervous coming here. They just think there's going to be people going to ask for freebies. I'm sure, Shawn, you've already heard that SANSOR has given up its entire profit share. In fact, we are not even looking to regain any return on what we've already invested. And we've waited years for this. And that is not why we are here, and that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in building for the future. And that is our commitment as SANSOR. That is my board's commitment. That's my industry's commitment. And I think there's a lot of African countries here who are like, gosh, we can now take charge of this. We're actually not comfortable so much with these handouts. By no means I want to speak for anyone, but I feel there is a massive paradigm shift. And I think Africa wants a voice of self-determination in this continent, and I think that we can find this fine balance. I think the way business is done in Europe or North America, South America, it is different, and people are different, the systems are different, but it doesn't make them unsuccessful. So we don't have to repeat. We can chart our own course. I think that's really, really important. It really is. I hate to throw this cliche back at you. It is time for Africa.
Lukeshni, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thank you,
Great
Shawn.
to see you in South Africa.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you.